Hey there, welcome back to New Eyes Open. Showing up another day for myself, showing up for you, and encouraging you to show up for yourself as well. And what is coming through today is about breaking patterns. And, really, a lot of times the only way to break out of the shadow patterns or the fear-based way of operating that is so dominant in this world right now, fear, lack, scarcity, all of that, it's a set of patterns that we are brought up operating within. And unless you choose to intentionally step outside of those systems and break the pattern for yourself and for those that you have influence over, so if you're a parent, for your children, the patterns continue and nothing really changes. There might be subtle changes on the outside, but essentially you're still operating within the same system, with fear, lack, and scarcity being the dominating frequency that you're living within and that your children are being brought up within. And so what that's looked like for me, and what really became evident to me many years ago, was I can break as many patterns, as I encounter for myself, but unless I step outside of the system that created those same patterns within me and take my children out of the systems that created the patterns within me, they're going to end up having to do the exact same thing themselves. The pattern continues. They become adults who have been, conditioned within these systems of fear and scarcity and lack. And then they have to go through the same process that I'm going through of breaking patterns and learning to show up for themselves without somebody else telling them to, because that's the pattern currently. That's the overarching pattern in our world, right? You do what other people tell you to, or what other people expect you to. And stepping outside of that can be really scary and really lonely at times, because it looks crazy to those on the outside. Taking a risk and not having a steady income coming in because you have chosen to create your own path towards prosperity is really scary, because it takes time to build things, right? Taking your children out of the education system and trusting that they are going to learn what they need to learn, because you are guiding them through their education. It doesn't mean parents are just, step back, hands off. Kids are, running free in the wild. Although there is something to be said for that for some phases of life. But yeah, we really only break patterns when we decide to step outside the systems that are currently in place and create our own new kind of system where our individual spirit is honored and given the freedom to thrive in the way that it was created to thrive, right? And that's essentially what entrepreneurship is all about. And that is why I choose to unschool my kids, because I am raising future entrepreneurs. I am raising future humans or current humans who are capable of directing their own lives versus looking to others to tell them who they should be, what they should think, what they should do, when they should do it, how they should do it. And granted, we live in a society, right? So it's also learning how to navigate both of those, being your own individual, being okay with looking different and being different and thinking different than others, while also knowing how to still operate successfully within the society that we have in our world currently. And so straddling these two worlds is really where it's at. That's really, excuse me, where it's at with breaking the pattern of, it takes somebody to initially break that pattern and to encourage and nurture a new generation to come up being their own free-thinking, individuated self. And then from that generation, the evolution continues. And so that is just kind of where we're at right now. I was just talking to somebody about my girls and why I unschool them, and really that's what it boils down to. I actually took the operationalized mindset that I have, the efficiency oriented mindset, and thought, it would be most efficient to break my kids out of some of the systems that I am currently trying to break myself out of now while they're younger, and have them raised up outside of those systems, believing in themselves, learning to see both sides, think critically, think freely, and explore their world and create things, create something every day, have time to deep dive into what truly interests them, what truly motivates them. I just quizzed my youngest daughter. She asked me to quiz her on equine anatomy, and she has all the parts of a horse, all the bones, all the organs, all different, all these different anatomical terms that I do not know how to pronounce, let alone know what they mean. Some of them, I know a lot of them, but still, the fact that at her age, she not only has memorized all these parts, she can explain where they're at, what their function is, why they're a necessary part of the horse. And she can do that because she was given the freedom to choose her science course or her science topic, and the time to deep dive and really explore a topic that she truly enjoys. And she loves horses. So, and this was her idea. The only thing I put in place is that you need to study a science during this term. And so she found resources to study horse anatomy. And she has basically created her own little curriculum, plus kind of taken some pieces from a online college curriculum that she found, and she's filling in the gaps of the information. It was just a college syllabus. And so she is following the syllabus and finding her own resources to teach herself each part of the syllabus. And that is how we're breaking the pattern of depending on somebody else to spoon feed us the information, depending on somebody else to tell us what to learn, to tell us what to do, because that is a killjoy and it kills motivation. And I've seen it over and over. And I am now seeing when children are given the freedom to be who they already are, and given the autonomy to learn what they want to learn and the time to do so, they do, and they go so much further with their learning. And so all that to go full circle and just add some encouragement of showing up might not look like what other people think showing up should look like. It might not look like the world's version of success. It might look like taking a step back for a couple of years to do your own inner work and to raise your children outside of the system in a more aligned way, a way that feels more aligned with you and your true beliefs. And to the outside world, that might look like you've taken a step back from your career. It might look like you aren't teaching your children anything. It might look like you're not doing enough. And yet, on the inside, so many things are happening. And most importantly, by showing up in that alternative way, you are creating the environment for the future creators, the future innovators, the future entrepreneurs of the world to follow in those same footsteps and really to have a leg up, because they don't have to undo what they learned in the system, the conditioning they got in the various systems. So this is for a special friend of mine out there who, she and I were talking about how lonely it can feel at times to be the mothers who are unschooling, not necessarily homeschooling, and how we can know in our heart of hearts and know based on child development, psychology, and learning theories, and just evidence over time from other unschooling families and other people who've done things differently, and looking at entrepreneurs and the way that their minds work and the way that they go about creating each and every day, and know that we are doing the right thing, and yet feel so lonely and be filled with doubt sometimes because it's not the way of the world. And let me tell you, showing up sometimes looks exactly opposite of what the world says it should look like. So you are not alone if you are on this path, this alternative path of living, learning, creating, being, and you are doing very mighty things that may not be able to be seen or witnessed on the surface right now. But, you know, this analogy gets overused, but it's such a good one. It's like planting the seed and watering it daily and knowing that in due time, the plant is going to pop out of the ground, stem is going to unfurl and grow and reach towards the sun, and one day you will be able to pick the fruit from the vine or the fruit from the tree. But it does take time. And for quite a while, it looks like nothing is happening. But so much is happening. So much is happening under the surface if you choose to plant the seed, if you choose to show up, if you choose to break the patterns. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me here. I encourage you, go out, break the patterns that need to be broken by showing up in the way that you are uniquely called forth to show up, and encourage others to do the same. And until the next time, be well, my friend. Thank you.